everyone, and welcome here to Bedford. Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you. It's our Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire FNL Rewind, presented by Beals Insurance. Over the next 60 minutes, we'll break down week number 4 in the NHIAA. Scores, stats, highlights, the whole 9 yards, and we'll also get an inside look from 2 different head coaches. Merrimack's Kip Jackson will join us in about 15 minutes or so at the bottom of the hour. Salem's Steve Abraham is welcome back inside the program. I'm Nick Anastas with Steve Beals. We will begin with our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week. We were in Salem on Friday to see the Blue Devils and the Merrimack Tomahawks. Both teams coming off extended absences. In fact, the Tomahawks hadn't played since their Week 1 victory over Bishop Girton. And Salem had a week off in Week 3, so they hadn't seen Steve the football field in 2 weeks. And I think the fact that both these teams were battling so-called rust issues really came to the forefront in that first half. A lot of flags, a lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes. It really took, I think, both teams at least a quarter to get their legs underneath them.
It did, and the type of mistakes, the type of flags it was, definitely resembles or represents a team that's struggling to get some live reps on the field. And as you said, Nick, by the second quarter into the third and fourth, they began to wane and more mid-season type play. I still think that a lot of programs are still struggling with not knowing what's going to happen one day to the next, and kind of growing that playbook and putting new plays in it's just difficult to do. But I think under the circumstances, the coaching staffs, the school systems, and most importantly, the players on the field are doing a great job, and at least these guys are getting out and playing.
Yeah, no question about it. And for Salem, well, the rest may have done them some good, because after, again, a slow start out of the gate, it seemed like the Blue Devils got ahead of steam and never quite look back. Junior Aiden McDonald would score 2 touchdowns in this one, including one on the opening drive, a 65-yard highlight type of run. And it just illustrates really how many weapons Steve Abraham has at his disposal. We'll talk about Dante Fernandez, another star in the coach's stable, so to speak. He ripped off a long one in this one, and they had a long hookup with Cody Clements at the quarterback spot. They had an 81-yard touchdown pass to Allard in that one. So 34 points in the first half for Salem, and that really made it difficult for Merrimack to try to come back. I know they're built to throw, and we certainly saw Kyle Crampton make an effort there in the second half, but the writing was on the wall, and the Salem defense began to fly around in that second half as well, as they forced 4 of the 5 Merrimack turnovers after halftime to seal the deal. Final score, Salem runs away with it 48-13.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the situation as far as the game is concerned on Coach Abraham's side, he's just got McDonald and Fernandez, and then he's got, as you know, Nick, first time I saw Clements last year, I really, really liked this kid at quarterback. I thought he did a great job. When he went down injured, I said, boy, that's a great loss. And you start seeing him come into the game and get more reps. He's just doing a great job. But the thing that I saw was the trenches, very difficult to give a real strong advantage to Salem. I thought Merrimack did a heck of a job on their interior lines, both of them, linebacker cores, etc. To me, the mismatch was on the outside and the off tackle. That's where the two weapons that Coach Abraham has, McDonald and Fernandez, were just. He just did a great job calling plays, did a great job of the offensive line, get some good seal blocks, really getting out quick of the crouch and around, getting some good lead blocks. And there was just no cornerbacks coming up from Merrimack. Hopefully we can talk to Coach about that a little bit. It was just a mismatch on the outside, even on both sides. But any team that's got Fernandez, then you try to key on him. You try to put a spy on him, and then a double team, and really focus on him. Then you got McDonald to come back the other way, and if not, you got Allard down running great pass routes, and Clement just made some great passes there. So, but as far as the interior part of the game, Merrimack, it looks to me, if you can hang in there with Salem, you can hang in there with almost any team. I thought they looked very, very solid.
Yeah,
so,
and did some good things on offense here and there. I know the 5 turnovers does stand out, but Kyle Crampton in this one did throw 2 touchdowns, one to Jake Bunis, the other to Jake Trahan. Speaking of Jakes, how about Jacob Brady anchoring that defense for Salem, the middle linebacker? He's one of the running backs on offense as well, and he's also the place kicker. He was busy, as we can say, on Friday night. So it seems like a well-rounded team, a very deep and strong junior class. And we'll speak with Steve Abraham, the Salem head coach, coming up at 5:30. But hard to think that there's many teams better than Salem in Division I right now. And Londonderry handed them their lone loss. We were there in week number 2.
But Salem fought to the end of that game, to the end.
And to your point on Friday night as well, as the weather begins to turn cold here in New England, that tends to favor teams that are built to run. And Salem, as we know, is built to run.
Yeah, not only is it the cold, the grass or the it's not as friendly for an open 7-on-7 style passing game. Yeah, you've got to have a running attack. And one thing about Londonderry is they have a running attack, because Coach Lozon works on that as well. But to a team like Salem, a team like Pinkerton, who unfortunately, at least as of right now, is not with us, a team like that is just it's so important to have that running game intact. And I think that Salem is not the same team we saw against Londonderry. I think that they've been able to work out a lot of bugs. But if you really want to come right down to it, Nick, how do you stop Fernandez and McDonald? It just and I really think the play calling that came up from upstairs and down, through Coach Abraham on the field was much better intact. Didn't try to run counters before counters were even supposed to be run, and they're just getting their rhythm again. But with the pandemic going around, you're just like, in the back of everybody's mind is you got to stay healthy, because all of a sudden everything can be shut down. So that's at least we're playing, All
right. Salem gets their second win of the season to improve to 2-1. Merrimack evened out their record, now at 1-1. Again, the final score there: Salem 48, Merrimack 13. We'll talk again with both Kip Jackson of Merrimack and Steve Abraham of Salem coming up a little bit later in the show. Some other D1 scores before we do bring in Coach Jackson. Bedford, they've now won 3 in a row since their opening day loss against Goffstown. Their latest victim was Concord, 42-20. The final score there: Russell Irwin, 1, 2, 3 touchdowns for the Bulldogs. Their quarterback, Joe Michael, threw 2 through the air as well, as Bedford breezed through this one. Concord's only their latest setback. They're still in search of their win, sitting now at 0-3. So we talked about Salem and how they're at the really upper echelon of the power pole, so to speak. Well, Bedford's got to be right there as a top 4 or 5 team, I would assume, as well, where they're playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, to beat the Crimson, I'd be interested to see what the score was at the third quarter before the 2s and 3s went in, or the backup fellas on the team. I'd be interested to know what the score was coming out of that. But Bedford's strong. I watched Michael the other day. I watched the game against Londonderry the other day, and Bedford looked really strong in that game. They look like they're, as they say, everybody wants to be in midseason form. They've also had games, so they've been able to capitalize on week after week play. And I felt as though that Pinkerton was getting into that role as well, and unfortunately that's stopped. But Bedford has clearly got to be up the top 3 or 4 teams as far as the rating is concerned.
All right, Goffstown, they're still unbeaten. Grizzlies 4-0 after a 35-6 victory over Manchester Central. Quarterback Garrett Henault, 1, 2, 3 touchdowns. That brings his season total to 6 through 4 games. And their running back's pretty good as well. Zach Picard, a pair of scores in the win over Central. He now has scored 7 on the season. Londonderry, they get right back to where they were with a win, 41-0 over Wyndham. Lancers, of course, suffered their first setback in 2 years, falling last week to Bedford. No problem, though, this week. Quarterback Dylan McEachern ran wild. The senior, 186 rushing yards, a pair of scores. He threw one through the air as well. Wyndham with a valiant effort from running back Stephen Maig, who finished out the day with 94 yards. But Wyndham now at 0-2. Londonderry improves to 3-1. Exeter looking for a little bit of momentum. They notched their second victory in a row. No problem over Spalding, 29-6. The Blue Hawks now are at 2-2. We'll stick on the Seacoast. Dover, they needed Well, the full 60 minutes, or 48?
Interesting game.
48 minutes to get it done over their Seacoast rival, Portsmouth, 13-7. The final, Darian Lopez Sullivan scored with just 8 seconds left, a 4-yard touchdown run to cap off a 94-yard drive for the Green Wave as they improved to 3-0 for the first time in a long time. Luke Geppert as well, helping out in the cause, scoring the other touchdown for Dover. Portsmouth, again, falling 13-7. They slipped to 0-3. A couple of other scores of note, a cross-divisional matchup between BG and Trinity. The Cardinals get their first victory of the season, 28-7. Dylan Sanasuazo, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 more through the air. And Winnicott over Memorial. Crusaders had been unbeaten at 3-0, but failed to score in this one. Winnicott, they get another victory, 14-0 the final. Ryan Eaton scored both touchdowns. Both came in the first quarter for Winnicott as they improved to 3-1. Memorial slips to 3-1 and have a daunting task with Goffstown on deck to close out the 5-game regular season. In Division 2, Souhegan, they're starting to look like the favorites, at least in the minds of many. Another big output, 55-6 over Manchester West. And Pelham also rolling in Division 3. Pythons with a 34-13 victory over Milford.
A lot of content to cover. We'll start with Londonderry. Wyndham's, hang in there, Wyndham. That program is going to keep on coming. We like the defense we saw there. It's just a matter of getting a late start in the season. As far as Londonderry is concerned in that game, the week before I was able to watch the game against Bedford, and they lost Raja. Big loss. I don't believe he was playing in that game. I'd love to be able to find out his current health, but looked like a pretty significant injury, but you never know. Hopefully not. One of the things that about Londonderry that's just really important is that they turn it around and they come back strong like that. Londonderry's going to be in the hunt. There's no two ways about it. I actually think that loss to Bedford could come back to be a benefit because when a team runs that many games and they're not you don't want to be in the playoffs and have that happen. You want to have it happen right now.
Right.
And it did, and it's going to put a chip on their shoulder to come back and have something to prove the rest of the season. And I think that they'll do that. As far as the BG and Trinity game, it's just a shame we couldn't have that game, whether it be a Thanksgiving game or whatever, every single year, because I just think it's a great matchup. Trinity's got a lot of good things happening over there. Championship team in Division III coming back from last year. Great game. Love to see more of those. We saw the Souhegan. We did the Souhegan and BG game. Just great every now and then to see those type cross-division games. I don't know how they work it in, but it's been fun. Goffstown, we knew 2 years ago Goffstown was going to be a solid team. We could see that coming. If they can keep on holding on and get a home field advantage, they're going to be a real tough team, as always, to beat in Goffstown.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Goffstown on Saturday, part of our weekend doubleheader as the Grizzlies will host the Crusaders. By the way, Friday night we'll be down in the Gate City as Nashua North takes on Londonderry.
It just gets bigger.
All right, we will bring in Kip Jackson. Speaking of big, the Merrimack head coach is on the other side. He joins us on FNL Rewind in just a moment. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Back here on FNL Rewind, Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you every Monday. We're live here at 5 Eastern. It's all brought to you by Beals Insurance. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Call Steve at 603-471-9999 today. Steve Abraham of Salem awaits in about 10 minutes or so, but right now joining us on the line is Merrimack's Kip Jackson, joining us from the practice field. Coach, thanks for making some time with us, and welcome inside the show.
Thanks for having me, and I'm sure Coach Abraham will be in a better mood than I am, but that's all right.
Well, we'll get to that game on Friday night in just a second, Coach, but I want to ask you really about the last month or so and how it's been really an up-and-down ride for you and your program. You got off on the right foot with a 21-14 win back on September the 21st. That was 25th. That was week number 1. And then your season was kind of put on hold for the next 3 weeks. You're finally returned to the field back on Friday night. But I'd imagine that downtime, Coach, was more of a hindrance than a help for your program. I mean, take us through the last few weeks and really the challenges that this thing has presented to you and your staff.
Yeah, I mean, in actuality, it started, as you guys are aware, months ago, especially for football programs, just because we're more, I think, year-round programs than other sports. So starting in March, April, May, June, we weren't able to be with the team until the end of July, and even then it was limited workouts. Then having the season start basically a month late without a preseason, and then moving into, like you said, our first game on September 25th. Since then, we haven't really had a normal week. The week after the BG game, we were shut down, and a lot of us were in quarantine, and then we had the preparation for South. That's what we thought we were going to be playing. And last Wednesday afternoon, found out we'd be playing Salem. So it definitely hasn't been a normal season, but I don't think it's been normal in any way for anybody right now. So,
how have the kids taken it, in your opinion?
They've been initially after the BG game, I think that was a bit of a setback. We were starting to get into the rhythm of football regular season, and then to have everything all of a sudden stop and not really know if you'd play another game, I think really hit them pretty hard emotionally. And that doesn't even get into the fact that we weren't able to do anything physically too. So I think the kids have handled it as well as they could, but definitely had an impact.
Your team hit the field Friday night against a very good Salem team. You hung around for most of that first half, but big plays, I think, did you in, Coach. What was your message after the game to your players and your overall thoughts, I suppose, on what was unfortunately for you guys, a lopsided loss at Salem?
Well, obviously, as you said, Salem played a good game, and they're a very good team. But we need to worry about what we do and how we do it, and really focus on the details. We can do inter-squad scrimmages and practices only so much, but there's nothing like live game action and game reps. And you guys are old enough to know that you learn quite a bit from your failures, and we made a lot of mistakes on Friday night, and we have film on it, and we can work to get better.
Coach Steve Beals here. Thanks so much for coming on. We always enjoy it. We tried to get out to some other games, and you haven't played. It's been kind of frustrating for us because we really enjoy coming over there or following you guys as well with your program that is clearly, strength-wise and numbers-wise moving in the right direction. My notice was the other night was that I thought your interior offensive line and defensive line did as well as your interior linebackers did a heck of a job. Matter of fact, I think right to the end of the game, that part of the football team on both sides of the ball did a terrific job. Never gave up. These kids dug in hard, and they were getting banged around a little bit with a lot of hitting in that game, and I thought they did phenomenal. So I just wanted to throw that out to you, and congratulations on that group. The area that it looked like there was some struggles going on, and this could very well be interested in your thoughts on, obviously McDonald and Fernandez are tremendous backs with tremendous speed, but it just looked like off tackle and outside things were breaking down. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, exactly. Well, they are both outstanding athletes and outstanding football players, and we made their jobs a lot easier because we, like I said, didn't pay attention to detail, and really need to improve our perimeter run defense. Fortunately, the head coach can fire myself as the position coach for those guys. So I gave myself a stern talking to during and after the game, and we'll learn from that, like I said, and get better. But yeah, that's definitely an area, and a lot of it is just not understanding where we're supposed to fit, and having trust in each other in terms of being able to. I mean, everybody hears Belichick say it over and over again, and the Patriots say it over and over again. But really, everybody has to do their job. If they do that, then football, especially defense, becomes a lot easier.
On the positive side of my question there, the interior offensive line as well, the offensive line as a whole, and then the interior part of your defense just did a great job. Talk about those guys. That was a very good football team you played Friday night, and I thought they hung in there amazing. Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about the backs from Salem. Salem also has several very good offensive and defensive linemen, and I thought our kids, like you said, fought very hard until the end. But we need to play, I think, with a different level of intensity and focus in order to beat a very good football team like Salem. So the kids that played well, no, don't worry about it. The kids that played well would have been Dylan Sadowski is one of the kids that goes both ways on O-line and D-line. Cam Wheeler is a very good defensive lineman also.
You stole my thunder. I wrote those guys down.
Yeah, and then Cody Keefe, senior inside linebacker, and a little sophomore out there playing linebacker too. But he's really handled himself well in the first two games in Romello High. Kyle, I'm loath to mention sophomores, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Kyle Crampton for a minute. Looked very comfortable in the pocket, and then all of a sudden a couple plays he didn't. But offensive line, give that young man some time to throw and a pocket with some vision, and he can fire the ball. And I thought he did a good job the other night. One of the problems was the penalties, quite a few yellow flags. This is going on across all the games we see, Kip, just so you know, especially in the first quarters. Teams just have had limited time. But what's your thoughts on Kyle Crampton? Because if he could have just stayed in the flow without the yellow flags, I think he could have probably put some more points on the board. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle was forced into action last year, probably a little earlier than we wanted. But he really he's what we call a flatliner in terms of he never really gets too up or too down, which is great for a quarterback.
Definitely.
And, throws a good ball. Has a good rapport with all the kids on the team, especially the linemen. So he's a smart quarterback. And then he's been working a lot with, and I think a lot of quarterbacks in the state have been doing a lot of work with Trevor also, which I think has helped him out.
Coach, the numbers on the team looked pretty solid the other night. I thought a lot of there was a lot of the guys that you don't talk about in the names that the guys you look down up and down the lines deserve a lot of credit, and you got the team going in the right direction here. So we look forward to covering more Merrimack football in the future, and we really appreciate your hospitality coming on today. I'll hand it back to Nick.
Yeah, Coach, that's just about it from me, too. I suppose my final question would be, what's on tap this week? You've got, obviously, the regular season finale, and then this new open tournament format is looming. Take us through, I guess, this week in preparation of that final and then beyond, if you would.
Well, I mean, I can kind of relay to you what I relate to the kids. We had a Zoom meeting. Zooms are like four-letter word to me right now. I'm really sick of them. But during the meeting, one of the kids asked if I was 100% sure we were playing Alvern, and I said, Well, right now I am, because last week I was 100% sure on Saturday we were going to play South,
Right.
and that changed multiple times. So we're planning to play Salem, and we hope to get that game in, and we'll kind of go wherever they tell us to go after that. I don't even know what the format's going to be at this point, or how they're going to figure it out, but we're just happy that the kids had an opportunity to play football. Yeah. This is just an awesome sport, and I know it's been tough on everybody. So I'm just glad that we're just glad that the kids have had a chance to play. And and once again, we're really thankful that Salem was able to accommodate us. Sorry to hear about Pinkerton and some of the other teams in the area, but it's just good the kids get to do something, because right now, as you're well aware, the kids are in a bad spot emotionally, and this is awesome for them.
Right. Well said.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck this week, and we'll talk again soon in the future. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Again, Kip Jackson of Merrimack joining us here on FNL Rewind. On the other side, Steve Abraham of Salem. Blue Devils looked scary at times on Friday night. We'll talk about it with the first-year head coach in just a moment. You're watching FNL Rewind, presented by Beals Insurance. FNL Rewind is presented by Beals Insurance. Locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Call Steve at 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com. We're live every Monday here on FNLNH Media. I'm Nick Anastas with Steve Beals. We thank Kip Jackson of Merrimack for joining us. And now Steve Abraham of Salem is on the line. The first-year head coach is back on the show. Coach, welcome back. We appreciate the time, and how are you this evening?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Boy, you guys looked good the other night, a 48-13 beatdown of the Merrimack Tomahawks, your second victory of the season, and kind of a coming-out party in a lot of ways for two of your two junior stars, Aiden McDonald and Dante Fernandez. Coach, let's start there. McDonald, a couple of scores in that first half, and then Fernandez, a couple of highlight Barry Sanders type of runs in this one really caught our attention. Your thoughts on how special those two guys are and how dangerous of a 1-2 punch those two can be?
Yeah, well, absolutely. You nailed it. They both are very special runners, and they're both very different. So after going back and looking at some of the film against Londonderry from a couple weeks prior, we just noticed a few things that they didn't do, and so we worked on correcting it, and really you saw it. So Aiden he is fast, and he's a violent runner, so we told him when you find the alley, square your shoulders and go. He doesn't need much space, and that was that first touchdown for him, and we think that set the tone for the game. And that's his favorite style of running, is straight ahead. And then Dante he's that special type of back that has the the football ability you can't coach. It's that, I call it, he's our shifty hippie runner. So his hips go one way and his shoulders go the other, and he's able to stop on a dime, and he has great balance. So they're both different, but they give us an excellent backfield, and they're both juniors, so they're just getting their feet wet. So,
yeah, your quarterback situation seemed a little more solidified, at least to us from the outside looking in. You went back to the senior Cody Clements, and you stuck with him, Coach, for most of the game. What went into that decision, and what was your assessment of Cody's performance on Friday night?
Cody did great. It's what we expected. He has poise in there. He's a good runner. He's tough, and he's healthy. But what we did is we were using the first couple games almost as preseason with the three of them. We had the two that played for us last year after Cody got hurt, and they're both excellent quarterbacks, and they could start for us. So what we did after the Londonderry game was I challenged the three of them. I said, guys, this is a competition. So be friends, but don't be friendly on the field with each other, because we're going with one. And we made them battle it out of practice, and Cody inched out ahead of the other two, but we ended up playing Caleb as our receiver, because he's a great athlete. So that's what we end up doing, is just adjusting, trying to find our best 11 on the field, and that's exactly what happened.
Coach, Steve Beals here. Thanks so much for coming on, and I just wanted to, if you could, just give a shout-out to your AD and Bob from Salem TV and the whole group that was there, the hospitality that they showed, and, of course, you opening the gate for us. Which was great. When we take the show on the road, there's a lot of expensive equipment in there, and you guys let us in the booth on a very unpredictable weather night, and we really thank you for that, and love being over there, and really enjoyed your complex, and so thanks again for that.
Well, thank you for coming.
Oh, our pleasure. We're hoping to come again. So the question that I had was play sequence, play calling. From the it seemed to me in the Londonderry game there was. You guys were struggling a little bit getting underway, having the type of play call. You were working the inside the other night and then blowing it off tackle, and then using those misdirection plays with a great deal of effectiveness. It just seemed like everything came together, not just on the field with the players, but with the offensive play calling on the offensive side. Your thoughts on that? It sure looked it from our vantage point.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We were, it was tough skating against Londonderry. It was against Merrimack. They're pretty good up front.
They are.
They're very stout. But what we were able to do was, it actually started with our ball fakes. So our running backs ball faked a lot better. And what that was doing was that was actually collapsing them on the inside is what we thought. That's what should happen with the wing tee. And that was able for us to have our outside misdirection happen afterwards. So, what we needed to do was really sell the inside run and stay patient with it, and something we didn't do a few weeks prior. So, we're not always going to hit one for 50, 60 yards, even 5 yards. We just got to stay our course and go from there, and that's what we did.
Let's talk about, obviously you're talking about McDonald. Let's talk about Dante. This guy is special. One of the things that I thought you were right on about your assessment of some adjustments that you've been working with him. Another thing that I noticed was your offensive linemen, instead of running backwards, they were much more forward, much better seals, holding their blocks better. So if you could speak on your offensive line a little bit and the work they did for Dante and Mr. McDonald, as well as Dante's following his blocks before he would make his final cut and go. Talk about that for a little bit. It was impressive.
Yes, Dante's a very patient runner. So what we told our line to do was we didn't even have to really blow them off the ball. What it was more about was getting in position, and really it was footwork. We spent a lot of time on footwork with our linemen, and that was the difference. A 45-step versus a 90-degree step changes things immensely in football. So that was one for them, and we had a new center in. He wasn't able to play before he was injured. He ended up getting hurt in the game, but that helped too because it allowed our.
Are you talking about Sullivan?
Yes.
Yeah. How's he? Is he okay?
I think so. We'll see today. So I think he plans on. Hopefully he'll be back the end of this week, and he'll take a week off. And if we go to playoffs, he'll play.
Nice young man.
And then to Dante, what's great about him is, yes, the way he can run and he can He can cut quick and accelerate, but it's really his football mind is the thing I'm most impressed with. So when he comes off on the sideline, him and I think we're thinking the same thing. He thinks like a coach, and it's very easy to coach him and make adjustments on things. And that was the biggest thing with his running. He understood what the line is trying to do and then the role in our offense. So he adapts his running style when he makes his cuts to that.
Yeah.
And that's, again, something you can't coach. So that's why he's special. I'm glad we have him for one more year.
Oh, yeah. He lulls defensive plays, slows them down, then he cuts and he beats them, and it's just impressive to watch. I want to talk one last point. I want to talk about Jacob Brady. This guy, middle linebacker, never comes off the field, fullback, really gave you the opportunity to get that power running game up the middle, and this guy was everywhere on defense. His ability, I was watching him read his keys and then waste no time following. Once he realized what was going on, he was following those keys and going like a bat out of you-know-where. So talk to us a little bit about that young man.
Yes, Jacob's our captain for a reason. He's our team leader, but what he does, he's like having an extra lineman on offense. So he plays fullback, and they don't always get the credit that Aiden and Dante are going to get, but he's making a lot of those blocks. And what, again, he does is it's the faking that then allows Dante and Aiden to have one-on-one matchups. And then defensively, he put it together pretty quick. We only had half a practice really to prepare for a completely different opponent than what we were preparing for. So Jake did a great job of finding his key, and then as you can see, he's a very violent tackler. So he led the defense in tackles and just in setting the tone and keeps them all patient. So he's another one that's a true leader on the field and a smart football player.
Well, the team's going. I hope everybody stays healthy, and I hope I was really looking forward to you guys playing Pinkin. And Nick's so sick of hearing me say that. It's unbelievable. But I got to tell you got your team rolling. I hope everybody stays healthy. And, Steve, it's just I saw your excitement with your young men out in the sidelines here. It's just great to watch. And thanks again for coming on. We always enjoy having you as a guest. I'll put it back to Nick.
Of course, anytime. I love it. Thank you very much.
Coach, just one quick follow-up question that I caught there from your answer. You had to switch opponents midweek. You only had, in your words, half a practice to get ready. How do you get your team ready on such short notice?
Yeah, well, like I try to tell the kids every single day, the opponent's part of it, but the game of football doesn't change from blocking and tackling. So we focus on how to block and how to tackle every single day. And, if you can do the fundamentals of football, you can adjust pretty quickly to be competitive against an opponent, no matter what their system is that they do. So that's number one. And then, you know what? Our kids were just so excited that we had a little bit longer, a little bit extra film session with them. They were just excited because they knew they were going to play.
Yeah. Final question, Coach. Your team has one more regular season game in front of you. That's Wyndham, I believe, right, Coach, this weekend?
Yes. Yes, it is.
What would a 3-1 record mean to this club going into this open tournament? What would a 2-game win streak heading into that tournament mean for your club from a momentum standpoint?
Yeah, well, it would give us some confidence. Again, we're really young, so that would be very helpful for our kids to just see that all the work is paying off and that we can be continually successful in consistency. But let's not mistake. I told our kids, don't look at the 2 scores of the Wyndham games. That's a good team, and it doesn't matter what happens
good defense.
Here. They play us tough. This is going to be a really tough one on Saturday, and I believe it's their senior day, their first home game. It's going to be tough, and we could be playing them again in this open playoff tournament. So,
Well, Coach, good luck against Wyndham this weekend, and thanks again for joining us. We appreciate the time.
Thank you. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Again,
right,
that's Steve Abraham of Salem, the Blue Devils at 2-1. Impressive in our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire game of the week, a 48-13 victory over Merrimack. And you can hear it in his voice, Steve.
I saw it on the sidelines.
He's a guy riding high right now. He knows his team is playing a good brand of football, and it sounds like he's got confidence in his group as well moving forward.
If the tournament's able to play with the majority of teams are able to play in the tournament, and I certainly hope something turns around with Coach O'Reilly's squad in Pinkerton. You never know if everything goes well. We certainly hope so. Even though it's a short and truncated season, there's going to be something special about 2020 if they're able to get the majority of teams to start and get through that period, because the championship's going to mean a lot for for the guys that get there. This isn't a championship that you throw in a wastebasket. This is one that is going to be very meaningful to these young men to be able to accomplish and go deep in the playoffs. These young coaches coming in are just a great lot of young men coming and coaching these guys. I can't tell you how. I mean, Steve knows where his team's at. How many times do we say that every single week? About all the games that we go see.
The main thing I think these guys have in common is the passion. They're engaged. They know the personnel. They know their coaching staff. They
make
know
adjustments.
They know their kids, and to your point, they know the game of football.
They do.
And a lot of these guys really are more than coaches, leaders of young men is how I like to look at it. And I think both Coach Jackson and Steve Abraham of Salem are cut from that same mold.
Exactly.
So
and I just hope that, look, we have to manage this situation with safety and effectiveness. No argument, have to do it. I think everybody has the right, hopefully has the right heart about this thing to make sure that if we're going to continue to play, we're going to look at these things critically. I hope we can look at both sides of this, because listen to what Coach Abraham said about some of these kids really down and depressed. And
Coach Jackson.
Coach Jackson said that, yes. Yep. And it's extremely important to these guys for the work they put in, and all of our athletes, that just make sure that we're looking at both sides. Safety has to come first, but let's just make sure we look at both sides, because there's a downside effect of every time that we can't play. But everybody has to understand that when the administrative has to make a call, they're the ones that have to deal with it. We have to respect that. But hopefully it can be in balance with looking at both sides of the issue.
Absolutely well said. All right, coming up this weekend, the final regular season week number 5 across the Granite State, we will be in the gate city of Nashua at Stello Stadium for a 6:30 kickoff between Nashua North and Londonderry. That is our Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire game of the week. And then on Saturday afternoon, we will be in Goffstown, where the Grizzlies look to finish out this truncated regular season unbeaten as they take on Memorial. So again, North and Londonderry Friday night, Memorial at Goffstown on Saturday. And
good
Steve,
doubleheader.
You bet. We've had this Londonderry Nashua North game circled for quite a while. We will see Curtis Lopez and the boys, the Titans, so to speak, in action for the first time in person, at least for me, this season. And we'll also get another look at Londonderry. Again, really two of the premier title contenders in Division I clashing on Friday night. We've got it all right here for you on FNLNH Media.
Yeah, one of the things that you have to understand, we listened to Tom King. I listened to Tom Brick. He knows those Nashua teams from the Nashua Telegraph. If you want to find out, Roger Brown, we've talked to him, and both of them have told us that Nashua North, as great as Curtis Harris Lopez is, it's not just Curtis Harris Lopez.
Right.
There's a whole squad of 7 or 8 leaders on that team that are outstanding football players. So if you start naming off some teams, Bedford, Goss, I don't want to leave anybody out, but clearly on a roll here. Bedford, Goffstown, Londonderry, Pinkerton they're out for now, but Salem and Dover, and now Exeter's winning some games. I mean, it's just got the potential to be one heck of a playoff round, and I hope we can have it.
Yeah, again, the plan right now, from at least our understanding, is it'll be a 16-team, calling it an open tournament, but 16 teams, which is double the amount of postseason qualifiers we're used to. We used to see the 8-team tournament, quarterfinal, semifinal, final. This year, an extra round, so to speak, a first round, a preliminary round of 16 before we get to the quarterfinals. So an extra week of postseason football. Who could possibly argue with that?
Especially when the greater community, the young men themselves, the coaches, the families. I mean, we've been through a lot as a country the last 7 or 8 months, and boy, I certainly hope everybody follows the protocols to a T. Really make sure that they keep themselves healthy, so the enjoyment coming up over the next month can be realized in its true form, and that's going to be really exciting if that can happen, and we all hope and pray it will.
Absolutely. All right, again, Friday night, an early kickoff, 6:30. Our coverage will begin shortly before that. 6:30 Eastern is the kick between North and Londonderry. And the Goffstown game is, at 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock, I think. I think they're moving a lot of those games because of a referee issue where there's a little shortage of refereeing. For those out there that want to go into refereeing, now's the time.
It's a thankless job,
it's a thankless job, but we really do appreciate the quality work that those men and women put on the field. But one of the things that I think the reason they're moving that game till 2 is because they're trying to get some 10 o'clock games. I know they did that up in some of the northern teams. They got them out of the way so they could actually do 3 games in the course. I think there's some Saturday night games that they're looking at as well next year, as next week, to try to be able to spread the referees around. And with a shortened season, I'm sure the refs don't mind going off. These guys are game. These are game people.
Yeah,
so.
they are. They work hard as well.
They do.
So we will see everybody on Friday night for sure. Again, North and Londonderry could be an instant classic, and you'll see it live right here on FNLNH Media. All right, want to thank Kip Jackson of Merrimack and Steve Abraham of Salem for coming on. Our director, of course, is Ben Beals. For my partner, Steve Beals, I'm Nick Anastas, saying so long. Reminder, Friday night, the FNLNH Game of the Week. Londonderry at Nashua North, 6:30, and then on Saturday, Memorial at Goffstown at 2 o'clock. It's all been presented by Beals Insurance. So long, folks.
Yeah.